So the first place is to not get put off about the word tech, and this can apply to any industry, is kind of lean in and understand what are the skills, the experience, and the job roles that exist in that, and could they align with me?
It's time to pivot in your confidence, career, and compensation with the 5-Minute Career Hack Podcast every Monday and Thursday. Now, get ready for a special interview curated just for you.
Well, welcome back to another episode here at the 5-Minute Career Hack. I am so excited because I have a guest with me, and we've been trying to have this conversation for a while, so I know it's going to be amazing because the anticipation has moved there. But I will share a little bit about our guest today, and then obviously give her an opportunity to share about her and her amazing journey that she's had. A few things in this series that we do is we believe at the 5-Minute Career Hack that a lot of our development and growing is around exposure. So when we meet amazing people, amazing journeys that people have and how they got upon that, is things that we can glean as well. So hopefully, I know you'll be in for a treat today. So without further ado, we have Heather Black. She is the founder and CEO of Supermoms. We're in two different time zones, right? In countries today. So this is going to be so exciting. So she is a mom of 2 little girls and lives at the sea. So where are you at today?
So I live down near Hastings in the UK on the south coast.
There we go on the South Coast. So for those that need to pull up a map like myself and look that up, do that right now. But she helps parents to achieve flexible, well-paid careers. So if you are a parent, tune in, get your notes app out, and get ready for some gems that she's going to drop today. So she has supported over 1,000 trainees globally to successfully relaunch their careers. So today we are going to be talking about that. How do you find that, right? After parenthood. So for Heather, in 2010, she became an accidental Salesforce admin for her nonprofit. And you loved it so much, right? And I know she'll tell us about that. She decided to upskill at Salesforce and became a consultant in 2012, helping other nonprofits to implement a CRM. It's so amazing when I talk to women. Anywhere we go, we're always going to look to grow other people and multiply, right? So this is so exciting as I'm looking at this. So she shares that she realized her career path could work for other mothers. So she launched her company, Supermoms. So we're going to hear about that today. That launched in 2016, and she's brought so many women into this sector. So in our show notes, we will drop a lot of links where you can go if you're interested. So without further ado, Heather, welcome to the 5-Minute Career Hack.
Oh, thank you for having me. And it's amazing because it's exactly what we're about, is really opening up people's eyes and helping them get curious about the job opportunities. I think that's where I found myself at. So delighted to be here today and help people think about what could this be for me? What are the options out there? And that's what you have to do, isn't it? Is sort of be curious, research, identify those opportunities, and the rest is history. I never thought I'd be here now had I not taken a few minutes to listen to something, and then it's changed my life. And that's what a lot of our Supermum alumni, I get that feedback. They're like, thank you so much for setting up Supermums. It's changed my life. And you never know where a podcast is going to take you. So be warned.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you reaching out, wanting to share your platform with our listeners. And I'm excited for myself as well. So I always remind people that I enter all these conversations as a learner. So I'll be taking notes as well. So let's get started. So I think today we talked about getting grounded on our conversation is going to be centered around how do you relaunch your career after parenthood? So tell us, where do you, how have you crafted this? Where, if there's someone that is a new mom, a new dad, and they're just trying to figure out this new life, a new chapter, what do you suggest?
Yeah, so this is my day job now, really, is helping people think about their career options, but obviously helping them think about the careers in the Salesforce ecosystem. So the first place is to not get put off about the word tech, and this can apply to any industry, is kind of lean in and understand what are the skills, the experience, and the job roles that exist in that, and could they align with me, and to get curious about that. So what I've put together at Supermums, and it's a good thing to reflect on, is I put together a quiz that allows you to reflect on your parenting attributes and to think about how you could, what is your superpower? Obviously, we're called super mums, so everything's about your superpower. And I then enable people, to think about which job role might suit them within the Salesforce ecosystem. And when I designed this quiz, the reality is I think there's pretty much a job role for everybody. So if I give some examples to that, for those that don't know what Salesforce is, it's a client relationship management system that is in a company which collects and manages all your customer data. So every employee will need to log their contact information, their email information, any phone calls, any sales, any customer service support. It's like the living, beating heart of a company. So I just want to say that for anybody going, what the hell is Salesforce? So what I did in this new job opportunity and where I found myself was I would help other organizations, and I specifically help nonprofits implement Salesforce. Now, you might think, well, how can I do that? What skills have I got applicable to do that? And that's where I found myself, thinking I was just about to move out of the city, start a family. And I was at that point where many of you might be now thinking, what can I do? And it's almost feeling like you're back at school again and going, well, how do I move forward? So as I got curious about these different job roles. So the way that I explain it in my quiz is, it's like, if you are the empathetic parent, so you're the one that's great at listening to people, it might not just be kids, but it might be friends. If you're the empathetic parent, the listener, the one that likes to solve problems for people, likes to improve things, then I would always recommend to people, you could be a business analyst in my sector I work in. With a business analyst, you see how a team is functioning and you will listen to how the team is working and you'd improve processes. So it's almost like, right, come on, guys, talk me through your processes. And people offload all their challenges and issues. And you're like, right, okay, well, let's fix that. Let's do X, Y, Z. So when you implement Salesforce for organization, you go in and a business analyst will be like that empathetic listener, the problem solver type person. So that could be you. If you are the person that likes to just get your hands dirty and fix things in the house, like you're the DIY person, the first adopter, and then teaches everybody else, and you like teaching people, then you could be the Salesforce administrator. And with a Salesforce administrator, you're building the system, not through code. You don't need a background in code or anything complicated. It's like drag and drop functionality. But if you like to let's just get this sorted, let's get it fixed. You like your quiet time, but you just want to get on with it. You could be the one building the system for people. If you are the mum or parent that is the project manager type role, so the budgets, you like delegating things, you're good at budgeting, you like to have a plan, you're mapping out all the holidays and the social parties and everything else, then those skills would be great for a project manager type position. So we recommend a project manager role might be for you, and in that you're helping manage people and teams going forward. Now, if you're the parent that is the influencer, so you might be the good negotiator with your kids, getting them to do things, or which I think most of us have to perfect, but we might not be that good at it. Or you might be the one that's got a new gadget and you love it, and so then you go and tell all your friends about it. I always say that you'd be really great in a customer success or account sales type role. And so you could sell the technology to people. So they are 4 different job roles. If you enjoy a few of those things or all of those things, you could be a Salesforce consultant, because that can combine one or more of those roles together. So that's how I help parents think about, could I do this job? Could I honestly do a career in tech? Well, actually, of all those traits that I've talked about, if you're one of or more of those traits, you absolutely could do a job in the Salesforce ecosystem. The other thing that I talk about is the industry experience. So you might have worked in different industries. So you could have worked in a non-profit, you could have worked in healthcare, education, legal, finance. With Salesforce is implemented into companies in different industries. And employers typically want to hire people who've got that industry experience from those other areas that I mentioned. So you can, even if you've had 10 years in health, you could then transition to go, right, I'm going to go and implement Salesforce for other health organizations, because you speak their lingo, you know what they do. you know what their processes are. And actually, this is a great opportunity to go and clear up processes that might have annoyed you for years and maybe why you left. So kind of have that therapeutic element of it. It's like, I don't have to work in it every day, but I can go and fix the shit now because I've done it. I might have to beep at that point. Sorry, I'm swearing. But so that's the first thing to think about is your transferable skills. You do have transferable skills. They can go into different job roles. You've got loads of industry experience, which might mean that you don't need to work in the day job, but you can transfer all those aspects. So that's where I start with a lot of people, is helping them understand what they can do.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to underscore what you've made very simple, right? And you gave a lot of examples for the listeners. A lot of times, it depends on where someone is in their career, right? They may not have heard the word transferable skills or even thought about their skill set the way that you are bringing it up. And we say that a lot with our clients as well, of like, we can see it in a person. And I hear that in you sharing your journey as well, of like, wow, like I realize this. I realize like this natural way that I am, or that I approach things, or that what my interests are, draws me to this type of solutions for even things in my home. So if you are listening right now and you're lost and you don't think that you do anything well, or what you're doing is super simple, hopefully you've heard something that Heather has said that is empowering. And I was empowered by your words when you talk about super, right? And thinking about what's your superpower. A lot of times when you ask people that or what they're good at, they're paralyzed, right? And it just, as you were talking, it brought me back, or the way I was visualizing is thinking about even in a childlike way, right? Like if you ask a child what they do really well, or if they can sing, they'll be like, yeah, I can sing, right? But if you ask an adult, it's like, no, because we're thinking about it as elite.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be paid. So I loved how you set up this quiz, and for the listeners to really think about what you're talking about, of like, first start with your own personal self-assessment and just write some things down, and don't think of it as perfection, right? Because the way we think through life is, our lens and our experiences. Just put those things down, right? Like if you're a person that makes lists, to your point, like don't think, oh, I'm not organized because 100% of my list didn't get done. If that is how you process things, and you gave so many examples. So I just wanted to pause there of that step one of self-assessment, identifying, maybe you may need to look up the word transferable skill and realize that your skill set can be used other places. And you just opened up a world of opportunities to someone. And I'm sure you know that in the thousands of people that you've helped, but I just wanted to capture that in a wrinkle of time. So what's step two? What do we have to do? We got clear, then what do we do?
Two.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So people get scared. Well, how do I do it? How do I move forward? And my background before I got into Salesforce was actually running. I was a career and business coach, so I was helping people get back into work, and also I'd evaluated a lot of programs around what makes it successful for somebody to go to A and B. And what I realized, that if I wanted to help other mums transition, just giving them a 5-day training course on the technical skills around Salesforce was not going to cut it. And so I recommend a suite of ingredients, really. And it's the ingredients we provide at Supermum. So whether you decide to transition with us and it's the right role for you, or you transition into another industry, these are the key ingredients I'd have to sort of encourage you to get around you. So one is, you do want reputable training. You do want to make sure that you are being trained up in a training course for any new role, and you need to invest in that in order to get the job opportunity. So if you've been out of work a while, things are moving so fast in technology space, and in any job role, to be honest. So there is a need to invest a lot of the time, but what you want is a reputable course that employers will go for. Now at Supermums, we are an authorized Salesforce training provider. So I took that step to make sure that we had a quality course that would look amazing on CVs. And it comes at a cost, but actually that cost is worth it, because people recognize the quality of the value of the course when they're going for interviews, opposed to any self-study or, non-recognized course. So the first thing is reputable training. The second thing is have a mentor who is experienced in your industry and sector, who you can meet with every week and talk through what you're learning, and get them to help you with it. Because there's nothing, what can happen is you can stall and lose your motivation to learn. So what I did at Supermums was to provide a structured program every single week where there's homework, there's set number of hours, there's study exercises to do, but you also meet a mentor every week that creates accountability. And then a homework record is submitted in the system to say the homework's been completed. So it really creates that structure, which is very different from somebody that, I would love to be self-motivated, but I'm not. That's my weakness. And I think obviously Supermums attracts a lot of people who are like me, in that they need the structure. They want to meet with somebody week on week who can give them a pat on the back, say you did an amazing job, or can help you if you don't get it, and really hold your hand and provide that structure and accountability. So find that structure. And then to add to that, the other support, and I've always tapped into this personally, is a career coach, obviously, but speaking to one here on the podcast, but a career coach, I just, the power of coaching is so important to help you think positively about, I can do this, to be clear on your goals, to help you sell yourself effectively, to understand your superpowers and to be able to talk about them confidently in an interview, to overcome that imposter syndrome. It's all those softer skills and mindset that a career coach can help you with. And I would never be where I would never have got to where I am today without career coaching. So again, in Supermums, we embedded that in the program. There's fortnightly career coaching and support, and you can access more one-to-one support if you need it. So we've got the career coaching, the mentoring, the accountability structure. We've then also got work experience. So if you train in something new, it can be very difficult to get a job without practical hands-on work experience. So we embedded that in our course at Supermums. The reality is, if you can get it through our program, but if you are in this situation where you're looking for these components in other situations, just reach out to people, ask them if you can shadow them to start with. Then you start to build that relationship and rapport with them if you shadow them, and then they might open the door to give you some actual practical, just open the door. Shadowing doesn't, so many of us work virtually now that shadowing on a meeting doesn't actually cost anybody any time and money. Obviously there's confidentiality aspects, so you need to be mindful of the industry you're working in, but try and get some work experience and work shadowing in what you do. And then one of the final components is think part of a group of people. So at Supermums, we take on cohorts every quarter, and people love to be part of a group of other people who are on the same journey with them. And there's a lot to be said based on the feedback around, having a group to talk through every day. How are you getting on? I need help with this. Can somebody just want to call? Like that group here, think conversations and support, peer support is really valuable to everybody that goes through it. So when they go then to industry events or their new job, they can share that, they can celebrate it with other people. They can talk the lingo because their partner at home doesn't know anything what they're talking about. We've had a lot of husbands and wives do the course now, actually. So clearly their wife wants to get the partner involved, and so now the partner's doing it. So I've had couples on my training programs, which is great. So you could bring other family members into it if you want to. So you've got the peer support, and then the final thing is work with a recruitment agency. So we have a recruitment team at Supermums, and what that helps you with is that the recruiter will sell you into the company, and so it takes away that little bit of that fear of I've got to sell myself in. If you work with a recruitment firm, they'll obviously understand your skills, your transferable skills, but it's their job to really sell you into the company. So there's quite a lot to think about there, but they are the core ingredients to really launch yourself successfully into a new job. If you learn something new when you don't do any of that other stuff, it's going to be twice as hard to get to where you want to be. So that would be my key recommendation, Alicia.
Love that. Thank you so much, Heather. And what I would say is, as you see me taking my notes and smiling and affirming as you were moving forward, it's so empowering even for me to have these conversations with like-minded people, because while I haven't maybe put them in that sequence, all of those ingredients, we talk about the 5-minute career hack, right? Which is kind of how it all came together, right? Of what are people that are doing maybe something a little different, obviously in different sectors, different life experiences, but totally with that. So let's get once again, if you have your notebook out, obviously we'll highlight some of these things we go through, but I think the structure is important for someone that's maybe thinking of this as a la carte. And I want to make sure, like, if someone maybe it's like, oh, I tried that and it didn't work, right? Or that won't work for me. There is a rigor around getting repetitive things and continuing to do that and making sure there's like foundational things. And that was the way I was visualizing it of, especially in our generation now, right? And YouTube is a great place to go. There's so much in the digital space, but I heard you say like somewhere that if you're going to be in a specific field, sure, you can be self-taught on some things, but there is a piece from a reputation. So like, how do you, one, right, with the assessment, see yourself as worthy of getting this training? Like, how do you invest in yourself? Like, so that's still a mindset piece to Heather's first step in training of like, oh, let me do this. If you don't see yourself as worthy or like, hey, I can't afford that. Well, this is my goal. How do I regress from there, right? Or reverse engineer, however you want to think about it, and say, okay, this is a first step and domino to get all of this going. So if you're talking yourself out of, as a mom, I got all these new expenses. Oh my gosh, daycare is this much. This support I thought I was going to have, all these things are mounting from an expense standpoint. You got, and you're really like a real life situation is I got to bring money in my household because I got new bills.
Yeah.
Think about that. Okay, like you may have to think about this in a 6 month, a year, 2 years, 3 year standpoint. That may seem just like so different than what you've had to think about before. So I just want to make sure people aren't getting stuck in that piece. Definitely. Oh, go ahead.
Can
Yeah,
I make a recommendation around that? So
Please.
what I did to help people with that is we created a career plan template.
Love
So
it.
you can download a career plan from our website and it tells you all about the transferable skills. Everything I've talked about today, it talks about the attributes, the skills, the industries. And then what we did is create a space for you to write down in it. So get it out of your head. It's really important to write down everything that you feel is relevant. It's also got the salaries in it. So write down what you can earn and the salary earnings. So if you were starting a business tomorrow, and some of you might consider running a business, right? Because that's one of your options, you would prepare a business plan to get investment in it. And writing it down makes you think, right, I know how I'm going to do the marketing. I know how I'm going to trade. I know what my product is. And you would go to somebody or a bank and say, will you invest? I'm going to put money down on the table to invest in a business. With your career and investing in it is exactly the same thing. Write it all down, get really clear on what you can earn. And I was chatting to a potential trainee today and I said, look, if you train up and spend just over £2,000 on the course, but you're earning 200, 300 day rates, you've paid back the course in 10 days. Like, it makes sense. And then if you invest that you keep learning and developing, your day rates are going to double. So I talk about people doubling their salary in 2 years. It depends on where they start on the journey, because some might come more with transferable skills than others. But if you've written it all down and you go, actually, you know what, if I get my first job and I've paid off the cost of the course in 10 days from doing this, it makes it feel tangible and real and possible. And that's absolutely what happens with our trainees.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. So hopefully someone that maybe you haven't thought about things like that and parenthood is encouraging you and life just got real because you are now, responsible for this human, right? Like, okay, now I can't just like wing it. You just gave a really practical way of practicing. Um, and then I also wanted to move forward when you talk about step 2 and 3, right? Which is really around um in my opinion, like thinking about your board of directors, right? And one of our co-founders, Candice, like even her handle on, it's so funny. Jamila did a course on like the business of you. And it talked about like really you being the CEO of your own enterprise, right? It was a great masterclass that we did in our community. But Candice's like handle now, like on Instagram, is like Candice Enterprises, and she is Candice Enterprises, right? And if those that watch the podcast and if you know her personally, you definitely know that's her. And it's not whipped up. Like it's really organic, it's really genuine. And when we think about all steps of that, of like when to your point around finding a mentor and you may not know where to get started, you gave some really good steps. So that may be like, it's interesting. I've coached and mentored people in their late 50s, right? That have thought, well, I've never wanted a promotion or I never wanted this. So that's what I thought a mentor was for. So changing even our mindset around like, hey, I'm going to move from passive learning and training, right? Like the training, I'm getting information, I'm now getting in this course, to active learning because now I need to talk about it with somebody, right? It's very different, like you said, of that accountability. If we had a call and you're like, oh, so tell me about the training. Like, what do you that is, like it's breathing life into this work that you're doing. So what would you say, like your mentor, how did they get you from just kind of like doing this class early on to like now this powerhouse and bringing others along? Like, can you think back of a mentor through this process that helped ignite that for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And even the mentors that work with our Supermum trainees, I think the reality is, yes, they can sit there and talk about the practical task and the learning journey, but also if for me, always wanted a mentor who's got that industry experience. And that's why it's different to a career coach, because a career coach looks at the wider attributes and you and your resources, whereas a mentor, you're going to because they open doors for you. They can explain how the job market works. They can understand what the different job roles are. They can give you networks and contacts. And so literally, you want a mentor who is invested in that industry that you're going to work in, and they can just onboard you really quickly. Because imagine not having that and you're going, right, I'm going to start this new industry. I don't know anybody. I don't know anything about it. Like, it's just impossible, really. But what I would say is with a mentor, and this is why we created quite a structured program for our mentors, is that you want to find a mentor and to have a set of, you've talked about goals quite a lot today. You want a goal, you want a set of things that you want to talk about, you want to tick things off a list, because a mentor wants to feel really useful. You want to join that conversation feeling that you're both getting something out of it. You want to set up a regular cadence of when you meet and what you do. And so we teach our mentors how to be a mentor. We give them a training and a suite of tools and techniques. And part of that is setting the framework up properly with the mentor, the mentee and the mentee, making sure that they got SMART goals, they've got regular meetings, so you're both valuing the time and that commitment. So that would be my recommendation for getting the most out of it.
Thank you for sharing that. And then the last steps that you had around the hands-on shadowing, right? So there's someone, and you mentioned a word around motivation, and I study this a lot. And I agree with you, right? Like, when motivation runs out, it's all like I always liken it to starting a diet. Like there's the pants are tight, you're not liking what you have in the mirror, maybe you're sluggish, you're motivated, right? Like something's got to change. But at a certain point, it's like, this isn't tasting good. Like I'm tired. I still that wanes off. Like, then what do you tap into? And I loved how you gave those things of like, you know what? Gosh, like my baby was up all night. I'm not getting any sleep. The bills are getting more, right? Like these things of shifting you back into parenthood of like, life is lifing, right? And it's real. And I'm tired all the time. And I don't even know what's going on, even with my body as a woman and a mom, right? Of then creating these kind of, boundaries that are pushing you forward and make you remember why you started. So I love the shadowing, how it didn't really cost, but like creating that in the community, right? So people that are there. So
they're the things that keep you going.
They do. And I wanted to share because some people beat themselves up, right? Like, gosh, like I'm the only one that's not motivated, right? And I think social media can make you feel like, because you haven't recorded this reel of like making your coffee and getting up at 4 and jogging 5 miles. I won't say no one's doing that, but most of us are not doing that. Like we are a hot mess and we are happy we just got here, right? So like, right, it is okay. You're doing the best you can. Give yourself some grace and get some folks to help you. So thank you for those, that recipe. So what's next? So we got our assessment, we have our recipe. I would think, what else when we think, is there any other things, as we wrap up with anything you would like moms to walk away with if they are like convicted now with relaunching their career? Like is there anything else that they should think about?
So I think that the big overarching thing, if we look from the A to Z, is have your vision board about what you want, because people are only motivated to change their situation if they've got the serious pain points. So your pain points could be you can't pay the bills, right? The reality is write that down, own it, and go, oh my gosh, what do I do? There's also the nice things, the house that you want. And I had every Friday we do a brag, like, tell us what you're proud of. And one of the mums wrote, I managed to buy my house because now I've got my new job with Supermums. And I was like, wow, so somebody wants to buy a house or they want to, go on holiday, write it down, do a vision board, Because at the end of the day, the only thing that's really going to motivate you to get from A to Z is your ambitions and your goals. And they could be the pains, it could be the ambitions, it could be the desires. But we work with a lot of women that, have gone through divorce. They need to get back on their feet. They need to get their own financial stability. They're single parents. They've had financial abuse. Literally the stories are heartbreaking in quite many situations, but they're heartbreaking in that's why they've joined. But seeing where they are now and getting the feedback from them about what they've achieved and their thanks and, their feedback back to me goes, this is why I do what I do. And this is why I show up and, share these messages. So create that vision board. I've got one up on my wall, where I've got all the pictures of things that I want to achieve this year. So create that picture and then just head towards it.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So motivating when you see that, right? And to be a part of that. So I would love for the audience to just know a little bit about you. If you don't mind sharing, like, what's your motivation to keep going? You've obviously had a lot of success. You brought a lot of people on. It sounds like have a proven track record and framework of like how to repeat these wins. So I'm curious, like, do you mind sharing with us? Because someone is motivated by just seeing your face and hearing your story.
Yeah. I love helping people achieve their successes. So that feedback is important. In that obviously I feel like I'm helping people achieve their ambitions and their dreams. I've always been socially motivated. So when I was a young girl, I used to make a lot of craft things and sell it for church and school and raise money for charity. And then when I was at university, I had a lecture on social entrepreneurship, which is basically running a business, but for a social purpose and making a social difference. I was like, oh, that's me. I was like, oh, that was my light bulb moment. Like, I love running a business, but it's going to help people. So I made a commitment at that point that I would run social enterprises. So my first social enterprise was running a coaching company that gave career coaching and business coaching to 18 to 30-year-olds. And we helped lots of people start their business and get jobs within small startups. And that's what I ran for quite a few years, which is where we started using Salesforce as a database. And it was so rewarding. Like, I love seeing where all these young entrepreneurs are now. I mean, they're all in their we're all in our 40s now, but 20 years ago. And then obviously when I became a mum and I had to transition, I worked as a freelancer. I didn't have any big organizations at that point or kind of big ambitions to start a business. But after 4 years, I kind of get that itch and I'm going like, more women need to do this. I need to tell them about it. Like, it's a great cheer. And I can't help myself when that entrepreneurial switch happened. So I equally really love starting a business, growing a brand, growing, having marketing, doing marketing opportunities, spreading the word. Like, I love the business side, but I like it when our business makes an impact. And it's those two things. If I feel like I'm learning from a business point of view, I feel like I'm helping people, and we're adding value, then that's what gets me up in the morning.
Thank you so much for sharing. So where can obviously we'll share some of these links in the notes of the show notes, but where can people find you? So where can they follow you and get some more of this knowledge and learn more about Supermoms?
Yeah. So we've got a website called supermums.org. That is spelled MUM, for those on this side of the pond or the other side of the pond. But Supermums went global. So a third of our trainees and 50% of our website traffic is from the USA and the rest is from EMEA. So we are a truly global organisation supporting people globally, but it's supermums.org. On the website, you can find out what a Salesforce career is, which will be also in the show notes. And you can follow us on social media. So we've got pages on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. So come and find us, reach out, talk to us. We've got free career consultations as well. So if you want a free career consultation around what a Salesforce career can offer you, if it's right for you, you can have a no obligation chat about it.
Awesome. That's been what's been so awesome in this work of like, as we move forward as career coaches, is there's always someone we connect with, right? And there may not be someone that likes my style of coaching or something about me, but if we can connect them with somebody that will get them activated, it's super exciting. So this is the last round and we'll wrap up, is if there were 5 words, right, in the spirit of 5-minute career hack that you would leave the audience, what are those 5 words today?
5 words, okay. So, well, I have behind my desk, make it happen. So that's 3 words technically. So I have these in my lenses. So when I'm on the screen, they're always showing. So I'm not sat at my desk right now, but make it happen are 2 of my words. I think resilience is, I turned 45 this year, and resilience was my key word for that, because I'm like, you have to weather the ups and downs of every day. And I talk about energy. Energy would be my 5th one. And to be resilient, energy has been really important. And I talk about the ambitious women mindset. So that's the other thing I talk about. And with that, I talk about you need to plug yourself into the energy socket, like charging up your phone. You need to find the thing that gives you energy every day and plug yourself in and charge yourself up. So whether that's exercise, going for a walk, meditating, listening to music, just really know what re-energizes you, because you need to keep yourself on a battery power of 70 to 100% most days. Because if things hit the fan and you have a down day, if you're operating generally in 70 to 100%, you're going to bounce back pretty quickly. Whereas if your energy level, you're not supplying, particularly as a parent and a new parent, if you're not looking after yourself and re-energizing yourself, and your energy levels are in the lowers between 50, you're going to struggle, and that's where depression sits in. So energy is really important. That then helps with resilience, and make it happen is the other aspects.
Love that. Thank you for your words. Thank you for your life's work, and just really valuable. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. So, 5 Minute Career Hack team, we are so excited, and I share a big thank you on behalf of my other co-founders. Really excited to talk to you today. So thank you all for joining in today, and until next time, be well.
Thank you.
I truly hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed doing it for you. However, it doesn't have to end there. Come on over to our Facebook group community right now for free. You're going to get exclusive content that we weren't able to include in this episode, as well as past episodes. We've got challenges, we've got research, we've got lives, you name it, all for you, in bite-sized chunks, so that you can continue this development journey. Go ahead, click the link right now in the description show notes, and we'll see you there.